On March 4, he reaffirmed the 10% energy tariff. In June, he doubled the tariffs on steel and aluminum to 50%, arguing that tariffs lead to success rather than inflation. By July 10, he imposed a global tariff floor of 15% and warned Canada might face tariffs as high as 35%, asserting it's not really a negotiation. On August 1, tariffs on Canadian goods were raised from 25% to 35%, with the justification that Ottawa wasn't doing enough to stop the flow of illicit drugs. Trump consistently portrayed these tariffs not as a burden on American consumers, but as a strategy to enrich the United States instead of enriching foreign countries. Despite these measures, the intended economic pressure on Canada appears to have backfired. Recent data shows that the Canadian economy is outperforming expectations. Before diving into the numbers, Prime Minister Mark Carney addressed the trade tensions with Trump, framing the softwood lumber dispute as part of a broader American strategy to demand payment for access to its market. He criticized Washington's unpredictable tariff actions and reaffirmed Canada's position that it does not dump lumber into the U.S. Carney stated that although CUSMA ensures 85% of Canada-U.S. trade is tariff-free, reliance on that relationship can no longer be taken for granted. Carney emphasized a strategic response, targeted tariffs designed to inflict maximum impact on the U.S. while minimizing damage to Canada. He highlighted the need to bolster domestic competitiveness and diversify export markets to reduce future vulnerability. Now, data from June paints a clearer picture of Canada's resilience. The merchandise trade deficit stood at 5.9 billion Canadian dollars, better than forecasts of 6.3 billion. This suggests a stable trade environment despite global uncertainty and U.S. tariffs. Canadian businesses have adapted by shifting production strategies, diversifying suppliers, and finding new markets. Imports rose by 1.4%, the first increase in 5 months, driven by high-value machinery imports for a Newfoundland oil project. This reflects ongoing investment in the energy sector and efforts to modernize production. Even excluding machinery, imports fell by 1.9%, suggesting firms are cautiously managing supply chains to cope with rising costs from American tariffs. Exports rose by 0.9% in June, with energy products leading the way. Although export volumes declined slightly, revenue remained strong due to higher prices. Agricultural exports, aerospace components, and high-precision machinery also contributed, especially from European and Asian partners. Exports to the U.S. grew by 3.1%, increasing Canada's trade surplus with the U.S. to $3.9 billion, demonstrating strong bilateral trade despite tariffs. Canada's GDP rose by 0.1% in June, reversing previous declines. Though small, this growth exceeded forecasts from both the Bank of Canada and independent economists. It suggests that instead of entering a recession, Canada is performing better than expected. Growth was broad-based. Manufacturing, one of the most vulnerable sectors to tariffs, grew by 0.7% due to inventory accumulation in anticipation of further trade barriers. Transportation and warehousing rose by 0.6%, driven by demand for new export routes. Even the entertainment sector saw gains thanks to a strong NHL season, with 3 Canadian teams making deep playoff runs. Retail, which had fallen in May due to car price hikes, rebounded in June as consumers returned to stores. The recovery in discretionary spending reflects improved confidence. Analysts noted that many feared severe consequences from the tariffs, but the actual impact was more muted. With tariffs less damaging than expected, companies resumed investments and hiring. Canada's resource sector remained strong. After a 1% drop in May, the oil and gas sector stabilized in June, supported by global demand and high oil prices. New pipeline projects are expected to boost exports further. Private sector investments in clean tech and infrastructure helped offset declines in public sector output. Analysts agree that Canada's resilience stems from adaptability, not special tariff exemptions. Diversified trade, automation, and shifts toward markets like Europe and Mexico have all helped. The Bank of Canada has kept interest rates unchanged, acknowledging economic strength while monitoring ongoing uncertainty. Projections now suggest a 1% GDP expansion in the third quarter, driven by pent-up demand and growing trade with Asia and Europe. The June data proves that Canada's economy has not only survived Trump's tariffs, but emerged more agile and competitive. Businesses are leveraging resources, manufacturing, and innovation to grow despite external pressures. Final GDP data will be released at the end of August, but early signs show a country turning challenges into long-term success. Thank you for watching. As an independent channel, we rely on your support. If you found this video helpful, please like and comment. It really helps others discover our work. We appreciate your support and invite you to check out the next video we've selected for you.